Departure of loved ones is a difficult moment, especially those whom we uphold, whom we look up to, who are the posts of moving forward of this nation. We are saddened this morning as we are in the state funeral of the late Chief Justice Aurthur Ngiraklsong. But we thank you for granting his life and for granting the opportunities that he served this nation and lived among us. And now as we are here bidding farewell to him, to family members, to the loved ones, we feel your presence. Pray, Lord, that this will be a difficult time, this fight. May it be a peaceful time. May we ask for your protection, divine protection, as we proceed until the end of all the events of today. We pray all of this in the mighty name of the Lord Jesus Christ, the only Savior. Amen.
Ako ligit na makadabal multaor. Yak montira Gimi Ebrel, mo meskid selpita klel Palau, Palau National Anthem. Tigu ay sulwase abanderang ang arsay, mitirgal ngartiang as il mo meser bulsay, tirgal ngararbay as il ko meser bultian ngolongot te.
Palau lobak lisi era galulu el tim lang arengira rautan me mang mangal walwara imol balu el ngara eungelarira alo magasa bodoleget gagarun era balwa lola babla gareng madu are bela otila klengaragi me bodoru tabudum sakli si bodagai waragadaim logi waren edong at mokara tim lakote lama ali warang del maklep kele logi wabuda amabalti gere Diyos mo makngal tangat rabeluma el bimla samra rawdal me bas kamaklisi am malamalta loru taklung yalamal mo
Musab edel modong okko. Mata mutal malungil tutaw mera narbek kalaat. Waigel mluay sira tutaw. Tial gamildil buhay live ra ngrel belaw. Madirekal YouTube channel sel TMC. Matirigel mlodekal si ilme adis ilding regel nangarngi marakablidit o mes oreng sa tial program tutaw. Kada balmol mara program rikit makulingit rakal loreng pol sa ekal ngatalgibil time el mosyokay ra arbatokal motokok adal adal melosop il mebangked magaling marikit at tial kamildil buhay. Makot and swadal mo recognize acknowledge ra presence ra His Excellency Surangal S. Whips Jr., the President of the Republic of Palau. At the the Honorable J. Udu Sangabaw Sr., the Vice President, the Minister of Justice, Marokuil Minister sa Ngartiang El Altutaw. Direkal maklol at tangak kalbodo recognize ra atangak kal Raklay, Rafael, Bawang, Irmang, Marongui, Rubugul Belaw, Lobangged El Altutaw. Direkal at tangak kalbodo recognize ra Abilung, Gloria, G. Sali, Umteer, Ebi Raklay, Salom Kirk, Marmasil Belaw. Direkal maklol at tangak kalbodo recognize ra Honorable Hokons Paules, el President ra Senate, Marongul Senator sa Ngartiang El Altutaw. Direkal Lobangged, tangak kalbodo recognize ra Honorable Sabino Anastasio, Speaker ra House of Delegates, Marongul Delegates, Lobangged El Altutaw. Direkal malo do siya klo lomungul, tangak kalbodo recognize ra Honorable Oljais Ngiraklsong, el Chief Justice ra Palau Supreme Court ra Blue Belaw, Marongul Presiding Justice, ma-justices sa Lobangged El Altutaw. Direkal swadal mo recognize ra tangak Henaro Peloy, el Chairman ra Governors Association, Marongul State Governors ng Ngartiang El Ang. Direkal Lobangged tangak Silverius Telay, el Chairman ra Organization of State Speakers, Marongul Speakers ng Lobangged El Altutaw. Special recognition goes to members of the Diplomatic Corps, Her Excellency Richelle Turner, Ambassador of Australia, Her Excellency Chichigali, Ambassador of the Republic of China, Taiwan, His Excellency Hiroyuki Orikasa, Ambassador of Japan, His Excellency Teimuras Lezava, Ambassador of Georgia, Mr. James Bonner, Chargé d'Affaires of the Embassy of the United States of America, and all the members of Diplomatic and Consular Corps who are here with us this morning. Direkal malswadan mo recognize ra former President Johnson Toribong, Lobangged El Altutaw, madirekal former President Talungab, Tamir Musao Jr. I'd like also to make a special recognition to close friends of CJ who are here this morning, Mr. Richard Johnson, and also Yoy Singeo, who should be here with us this morning. Finally, we want to acknowledge the presence and thank the presence of the Honorable Dan Cadra, Chief Justice of the Republic of the Marshalls Supreme Court, the Honorable Alexander C. Castro, Chief Justice of the Commonwealth of Northern Mariana Islands Supreme Court, Honorable Pauline Carl Warswick, Acting Chief Justice of the Federal States of Micronesia Supreme Court, the Honorable Catherine A. Maraman, Associate Judge of the Guam Supreme Court, and also the Honorable Aurthur Barcinas, Judge of the Superior Court of Guam. Sel malulbong lang malsuadal o si omungul rigid el mora members sa family sa late Chief Justice Aurthur Ngiraklsong Lobangged El Altutaw. Malbatokar batoko dal adal ngartiang mo dakal sa ekal mo subes sa bulakal sa ekal recognize sa gabi rokoy di ko malmasaw la represent sa gabi El Altutaw. So lagi kita malmol mara program rigid El Altutaw Uklol tangak le ngara le bokuntir tangak President rigid Rablur Belaw His Excellency Surangal S. Whips Jr., Bebel Baskita Almergid and Altutal. Mr. President.
Malimut tutang. Yung magumela class Mr. Clark. Yung Ngiraklsong. Bekla berbela. Itu bubet tutang. Tidak ngerti ada nak seats. Polis se floor ni terdengar. Iya, orang orang kemudian generasi kedua ini bergerak sekelumnya para jen le sebelum siumio berbari sangat rata belum bela. Jika tumbaka sebelum saya reksiringi amamade, bagian betul ni hari itu dikira kerja dia akan dicek bela. Ya, egal belum mengartian belur belau bela teman memelak keri dari ganga otali yang pengeru mereka akan keri dah botol kemangan chief justice Dui situasi seldom basura Aurthur di matang Ngiraklsong tungurang Ngiraklsong karena kaya chief justice mereka tidak mereka ada apa chief justice di seldom lagi Ngiraklsong le kerja seldom ada highest level of professionalism. Ingat yang makasih terasanya ya sebelum pura program melaming Ngiraklsong di dari kapon 9 o'clock dari kemle 8:48 di kita sesel tura Aurthur mengamula urio kita laba time saya ini Ngiraklsong sel numura tretel la urio soal sel kota apa kota lebih dekat Ngiraklsong itu Chief Justice Ngiraklsong melemberi la urio Arnel masih acara hari ini to berbeda dan berbeda to mudaya lo ayat se lo to berbeda berbeda di tialure la dinire menglonia tele dire kalau maseo bela se belo asai lurut tirar ada mosamria tialure serba tocar llega de la tira no sombrero suke la por Allah ya la sin se de lo se tira adra Allah lo que ya adra garga dia kan ka para private sector lo se dia kan mal ni garu rupa emang ka ya bidra ta porque bahkan beri lagi ini lo saya malah beri lagi setelah saya beri lagi dia nak ada masing ganti dia agar Allah lo terdiri Aurthur di segi sel lutus soal amal mal soal aunil Aurthur ini terletak ada Aurthur aku pernah lo saya segi sel mulai lo saya Sedrulia mungkin 4% membas. Tapi kalau ya saya tertok tirgal, saya di kalbamel tiram net makaluro lagi. Tertok aku kalbabir name, mera gargari lo ais sel tol kit tereng, tirgala, tol mul, oti tirgal ngaru bagan. Saya dan mesra ada lagi sel belau. Yang kiram bagian masih garubak, meraih sel dolori tol masih profesional, tukora urio dan tukora urio. Dia kat soal akora terkak dan uben akora ajan sangat tu. Saya terus saya lorre deleng presiden presiden. Lorre deleng dia kan biar terkora mesti. Di manmat terkak lalu. Jadi kalau saya tanya sehingga atin magela. Aduro omngede presidente masa madar mude gala ako tebudul atro omngede adra aduro bela je dol ngara competition yang segi sendu ya kiri bermudura presidente ramasau dik pudeng la senga blo the chairman ra omngede ra dul ngaya ngale maise dor girel ablok kem tamal tokal arang arang ruangan lebih musuh beseng misal perepelel girel tokal di Hindi kaldil len girel din sisi rabe katoy ra selo tenis mengira di sisi paise chiri oy como mge ko miu ora malat keri se o sisi ko lu pan mara ko se gitu para u se di postel ya se makena na Kapira kalau umrar wase, kalau rumah kasar mau orang, jadi kalau mereka kamar, jadi rak benar kasar. Mereka segi dan dulu ulen, kalau saya terus segi, jadi mensalah ada orang mereka tough exterior, saya terus enggak sisi lah ada, sebedak teri, di sel banyak sel mulak. Dari hati legal modadura yang diimurang kandidat ng presidente Aurthur. Ang Bulgaria masih kau nomornya si Jel masih kau declare masih ada selim lang polo teman. Tadi belum mereka kalau udah dapat declare. Biga nomornya masih nggak boleh belum nelu baru udah kalau mungkin. Kalau dari Rael masih enggak ubah kotak suatu ubah ngerai. Kita pengen sel orang kadile membesar saja. Yang membesar ada. Kita tulis sel masih kita tahu orang berpraktika. Beringat lah. Masih sel kim ngerai sel akor itu orang. Sel kim tu belum bara omet. Gampang tu bara. Play juga ako. Abet kita bergerak. Jadi kira terong ka sehingga rubah ka leswala naman. Paisa naman kini. Ito ay berasa dari hatan tiga makal nang rubah ka September tiga mulai traffic light tadi terang mat terang PBA. Hingga labes sa semlam traffic light di makal lengalak letya pakara. Kalau mes rulele ulis samla on alay to tigede bagi maldit tiluak kal ulis sa amral me nguruduri alesan kasi jem na dakterin ngobul terkan ngara ulle kasi atiga tabaska kon next day bara orten mo harara ingwasen dia ka atang alba bralla itu dengan apa saya terterela Gal si Jia lo kemana? Cara lulu ni rabek terah. Tidak murah-murah. Sil cerah. Jadi kalau t-shirt tolong orang hotel chief justice. Maria uka lepilian ayah nak ini amle tolong ni amle klub tebel ngara tenis sport leji kemudian karena begitu selo sabi niya kasi garu baka maran tin maget di not kill atin old swal which is ibigay yung edit yung wilmento Lebron lumaklat kili kasi ginan mo to arun dia tertakar nesora to karas tu Betul, mo kasi mo yung gagitan hong kasi iyan om subra iyan hong mospera sila tangar ka diri kan mospera di kaya na marbekla dito ba din na sa tin na ada ada masih dalam bakteri sel jaga di bakteri le sel bakta umum kasi Pramileno kasi berilang ngerele asal kasi masak di segi nak ya kan mungkin tamam di segi dan di level ketak ada di leader rogul Rosada المرور سيرو 4% سيرو الشيء أبو مراد وصل يسوع إكسل ويسين قالوا بقى مراد وصل دولو سيدا legacy dia sia de los perir dodai Rauli, kalau kita ngawal kita cara kerja, sihira, over beri lela, marah itu, maka sihira itu bera, mereka sulit, malah kalau berdera kali ni ya, marah kerja rapu, mereka sulit lah, rumah kerja, marah kalau tidak gini ini, mortial hotel beri ini dulu. Elia sel bertiga dengan ini merapu mau dikus serat ramane sebagai terang Dios
Malmisulang President Regel Malungil Natal. Katabal Maldirekal Mereng Asurela President on behalf of a grateful nation. Yung los of el lot of the Presidential Proclamation number 22-33. Makontira Chief of Staff, Robisra President Landisang Kotaro, bumuiwing il proclamation ya President Tamodrasi Mura Family.
Presidential Proclamation number 22-333, expressing deep sadness on the passing of the late Chief Justice Aurthur Ngiraklsong, conveying the appreciation of a grateful nation for his contributions to the people of the Republic of Palau and ordering all flags to be flown at half-staff in his honor. Whereas the late Chief Justice Aurthur Ngiraklsong was born in Koror on February 28, 1941, to the late Ngirakelsong and the late Yu. He was adopted by his paternal grandparents, Talungab and Ngiraklsong. And whereas the late Chief Justice Aurthur Ngiraklsong's early childhood was marred by some of the most difficult times in the history of Palau. And whereas the late Chief Justice, despite nearly insurmountable odds of wartime, thrived And as Palau was rebuilding after the war, he achieved great success and was a standout student. And whereas his academic success was noticed, and in 1966, the late Chief Justice Ngiraklsong was selected for the prestigious John Hay Whitney Fellowship, awarded to deserving students from humble backgrounds. And whereas the late Chief Justice Ngiraklsong seized the opportunity, enrolling at the University of Hawaii, where he graduated in 1967 with a Master of Arts degree in Political Science. And whereas, shortly thereafter, the late C.J. Ngiraklsong enrolled at Rutgers University Law School in New Jersey, graduating in 1974, becoming one of the first Micronesians to earn a Juris Doctor. And whereas, although he successfully passed the bar and was licensed to practice law in Pennsylvania, the late Chief Justice Aurthur chose to return to Micronesia, where he began his public career as a staff attorney for the Micronesian Constitutional Convention. And whereas, during his time with the Micronesian Constitutional Convention, the late Chief Justice Ngiraklsong served as counsel for the Committee on Civil Liberties, where he was the primary author of the Bill of Rights of the Constitution of the Federated States of Micronesia. Following the Constitutional Convention, the late Chief Justice Ngiraklsong became the Legislative Counsel to the Congress of Micronesia, continuing in the position until after FSM's independence, cultivating ties with judges and attorneys throughout the region. And whereas the late Chief Justice Ngiraklsong quickly rose to Chief Counsel, supervising several lawyers and staff, and was honored in Resolution 1-117 by the First Congress of the Federated States of Micronesia for his outstanding loyalty, professionalism, and dedicated service. And whereas the late Chief Justice Aurthur Ngiraklsong moved to Guam in 1981, serving as Assistant Attorney General, gaining invaluable experience in litigation, land disputes, contract and tort matters until 1986, forging stronger ties with the Micronesian and Pacific legal communities. And whereas in 1986, while enjoying a successful legal career, including a year as a visiting scholar at Harvard Law School, the late Chief Justice Aurthur Ngiraklsong returned home to Palau at the request of then President Lazarus Sali, who promptly appointed him Associate Justice of the Palau Supreme Court. And whereas the late Chief Justice Aurthur Ngiraklsong is credited with authoring one of the most compelling concurring opinions in the history of the Palau judiciary. And whereas, in that still talked about position, ROP v. Miraboy, the late Chief Justice Aurthur Ngiraklsong wrote in part, and I quote, "I write separately to state that the Palau Constitution is the supreme law of the land and not inconsistent with the trusteeship agreement. I see the Constitution as perhaps the best living expression of what the people of Palau want. I accept and recognize, as I believe we must, the supremacy of the Palau Constitution." And whereas, from his earliest days on the court, the late Chief Justice Aurthur Ngiraklsong held attorneys to strict and exacting standards, recognizing the importance of following the rules and procedures of the court. And in November 1991, the late Aurthur Ngiraklsong was appointed by then President Ngiraklsong as the second Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the Republic of Palau. And whereas the late Chief Justice Ngiraklsong accepted his role as chief administrator of the court with great energy, vision, and purpose. And whereas the late Chief Justice Aurthur Ngiraklsong proceeded to develop a professional corps of skilled judiciary staff. He was known for demanding top performance from each employee, but also nurturing and enabling each staff to achieve their full potential. And whereas the late Chief Justice Ngiraklsong is credited with developing the Palau judiciary into one that is highly respected locally, regionally, and internationally. And whereas the late Chief Justice Ngiraklsong also served as the chairman of the Palau Judicial Nominating Commission, member of the Board of Governors of the Pacific Judicial Council, and as a representative on the Pacific Judicial Strengthening Initiative. And whereas the late Chief Justice Ngiraklsong, throughout his career, sought to bolster ties between judges and lawyers across the Pacific, and was so highly regarded that he served as temporary justice of the Supreme Court of the Federated States of Micronesia, while Chief Justice of the Palau Supreme Court. And whereas the late Chief Justice Aurthur Ngiraklsong was known in Palau's judicial system not only for his legendary status as a jurist and administrator, but also for his softer side. And whereas, as an administrator of the court, the late C.J. Ngiraklsong is credited with ushering the judiciary into the internet age, making good on his commitment to bring as much information as possible to the general public. And whereas the late Chief Justice Aurthur Ngiraklsong authored hundreds of legal opinions, many of which helped to guide Palau from its independence and charted a course for the judiciary that will stand the test of time. And whereas the late Chief Justice Aurthur Ngiraklsong was a true titan of the law and of our island nation, who shall deservedly be remembered and honored for as long as this nation endures. And whereas the late Chief Justice Aurthur Ngiraklsong was called to his eternal rest on November 16, 2022, at the age of 81. Now therefore, be it resolved that the people of the Republic of Palau express deep sadness for the passing of this outstanding citizen, the late Chief Justice Aurthur Ngiraklsong, and further pay tribute to his family, the community, and the people of the Republic of Palau for his long and distinguished service. Now therefore, by virtue of the authority vested in the President under the Constitution and laws of the Republic of Palau, and specifically 1 PNC, Section 503C, Surangal S. Whips Jr., President of the Republic of Palau, hereby proclaims that as a display of the respect that this country and its fellow citizens have for the late Chief Justice Aurthur Ngiraklsong, all flags regularly flown within the jurisdiction of Palau and all flags of the Republic of Palau flown at the embassies and consulates in other countries shall be hoisted at half-staff for 10 days from December 2, 2022 to December 11, 2022. So proclaimed this first day of December 2022. Signed, Surangal S. Whips Jr., President of the Republic of
Ang Saula Chief of Staff era tira President tapos el mo present sa the proclamation. Kada malmol bara program rigid Ngiraklong sisul time, Blair Olvira Kalulaw, Amlos of El Lotobri, a Senate Joint Resolution number 11-34, Akmalingitra Tangak kal Andrew Tabulwal, Senator 11 Olvira Kalulaw, Palau National Congress, kung mo'iwingil resolution, ikadamolingitra speaker, Tangak kal Sabino Anastasio, hindi ka mo present. Senator.
Betul, reply. Tidak may reply. Kultur, pero bersiaw lungul. Karang lela ang tuwi matal birak lulaw. Irel el alsils, asils ra tangak, Aurthur Ngiraklsong. Dotong si, pero bagi, amak kreo sel other belaw, en lokdong ra rubang, katruim elon ng kapsingin, ang tuwi matal buil el ara, tangak, Aurthur Ngiraklsong. Lep tuwi lang arpa belgeri ra plur belaw, katmot mang, yamat, aptol plung yelelaw rel, time lobak lamat, sang arpa belgeri ra plur belaw. De modo breve, Aurthur sel, Aurthur boy, atau bubet selmek other belaw, tangak Aurthur Ngiraklsong. Dat makalodar sa umikid, menumol mak, other belaw, la alim, ngar ngil, Aurthur. Malway say, amayak la other belaw, tangak Aurthur Ngiraklsong. Amle ro 1941, Moradamal, Pangirap table at door, Madalara Yu, in the road and Moradamal, Adamal, Ramul, the toy, over the young Ngiraklsong. Malway say, sila ulilak mga ramayak la other belaw, tangak Aurthur Ngiraklsong. In Lokoro ra time, ra other belaw, ang narapin ng time, ra reksirap ng belaw. Malway say, sila ay titukol time, mayak la other belaw, tangak Aurthur Ngiraklsong. Malin nagagril up, nagagril ngal, kaya matang tureng, lomalos ngel, marangun kinilaw ng tukol. Malway say, 1966, mayak la other belaw, tangak Aurthur Ngiraklsong. Am nangil, tapos nila ang ngalit ng algaspu, el mga ngugo datong tonil kung Chan A. Whitney Fellowship, tukubet sa ngugo scholarship, el modar sa mga ngalit ng algaspu, ngaraat sila ay titukod time, yung amol taurerel, gaspu, hindi ilakis el alak sila. Pero I say, magigtagi ng ngugo, mayak la other belaw, tangak Aurthur Ngiraklsong. Amnora School, University of Hawaii, e niya Masters of Art degree sa Political Science. Malway say, sir subera Political Science, mayak la other belaw, tangak Aurthur Ngiraklsong. Abnormal aswar raklus lel other belaw. Para malmal, te bakataw til avrala, para malmal, te bakataw til romi, malbodo balla, jat sisrakat. Kaya yam lo to daringi, menglora skura tokorala, the choice for Rutgers University School of Law, New Jersey. Malway say, 1974, kaya may akal other belaw, nakal Aurthur Ngiraklsong, below Rutgers University, article other belaw, Marcel Kotel Bak, sa atramay kaya to, skura la, Inuat juris doctor, yang ngoriak sales kengal la, prinsipalnya bar exam. Malway say, mayak la other belaw, nakal Aurthur Ngiraklsong. Oking selong matkel gire la close, la other belaw, la other la, yang moimik promit al rabar, ililu telmei mo other la, la sela utmel la ramay Indonesia, maktrail la sela civil liberties, Nombrala Aurthur the Cycle Bill of Rights, Cycle Limit Pilar other la the Federated States of Micronesia. Malway say, it's a time, mayak other below, nakal Aurthur Ngiraklsong. No rule, other lar will be that district of Tonopay, kaya am not the ale lomak o bes, ang will, rabulabe, mapung below. Malway say, Aurthur om la sila ut milala ramai Indonesia. Ngirakel Aurthur Palau tatangkal Aurthur Ngiraklsong. Amin le mol mo akla la olvi da adang lela mai Indonesia. El mol mu the Federal States of Micronesia. Apo di dak to ko chiplu. Tiam lo te alis misi ablong lira abrala majatses da kadri da Micronesia. Ogi wakal da albin yang oriak mo trul al abrala olvi da FSM. Sel control olvi da FSM. Of the resolution 1-117. Totong si ang first Aurthur Ngiraklsong. The resolution da control olvi da FSM. Ang notong iyong belum show da albin raurior remur tangar bablo kai makarkip ng imraurior. Malaway say sila 1981. Ngirakel Aurthur Palau ngakal Aurthur Ngiraklsong. Ang norakwam yung mo Aurthur Assistant Attorney General kaya direct no te al yang poisoy sa cloud ng iradu raw tutak ang daira utok makakaraw si tutak ng mga pala kadagri. Uluro rakon mo 1986 emil lamon mo makakmis sa dulwil terabala tayo paat sila may informasi. Malaway say 1986 Gabriel Ngirakel Aurthur Palau nakal Aurthur Ngiraklsong takbora la ral ngarakwam ang ngaru lungin maray ul demokrat te al mura Harvard el visiting scholar umray mura ngoberdur al muskal abrala yal time rela walon sa ararois rakunyaw mang waisay e awdong mara His Excellency President Lazarus Isali awdong mo se May Palau Palau Spearhouse Ngirakel Aurthur Ngiraklsong amoy mik para gultung niya rakwam Palau lay tut mo Associate Justice sa Supreme Court Palau. Malaway say sila mondara karagri ra ROP versus Ngiraboy Ngirakel Aurthur Palau Ngirakel Aurthur Ngiraklsong ang ararek sila karagri lilisiak mal bakataw tulong purela mo akmo liak melus el tutaklit mo awat milala Palau ako tong arbabla e dia kal kakabos ni matrusteeship agreement bak masaw ut milala elo akmal ko trungil ngaran tokoy to tiaw lumulir para Aurthur Palau alaway say ya ut milala adio sisiwaben rule to pagkila dredra am traffic territory el moldu akarul murarap traffic territory madred mura imori ako ngay Dr. Gakli e umrak mo bidro buy akire Dr. Gakli ako tong arbab ulel o tumilala kalau I say Ngirakel Aurthur Palau Ngirakel Aurthur Ngiraklsong kau ulel atemra karagri emlemre rol trobok lal ula karagri remur traas ditmau embalal meraas ediak maldiak ngeurutak ludio aru emnegargik tapos sulnya sebuai mora abrogui mora talaka kati. Malaway say 1992 ya His Excellency President Ngirakelsong atining Ngirakel Aurthur Palau Ngirakel Aurthur Ngiraklsong bintang latmol losngel yo oreng arba baldu malom sereng kultura igaki emintut mo Chief Justice pengerul af mo Chief Justice sa Palau Supreme Court lulang arba baldu dari Aurthur Palau. Kalau I say, serabol lula kanakri, Ngirakel Aurthur Palau, Ngirakel Aurthur Ngiraklsong, au lubat red, ra Aurthur Palau tu rakrisi lareng, terbok losngel, mamuktek. Kalau I say, Ngirakel Aurthur Palau, Ngirakel Aurthur Ngiraklsong, atot makli aldeliran madu, makligit telatala kanakri, togi akarkik losngel, osis akli, mother's tongue Aurthur berrokol eyes, mal moral berrokol eyes mo. Diam koramong par dam dala si Ngiraklsong. Ngiraklsong awol kala kurabab. Gariol sel botun pimela Aurthur ya ngidin mo. Lewa say hindi legal mal ilang time mlisi adesta Aurthur. Malo I say Ngirakel Aurthur Palau Ngirakel Aurthur Ngiraklsong nangaru el gariom la dimnakal ngi terakak murar Aurthur Atrakus lelau do buai, atrakal morakal buai, ngare ngelau u brakat akri. Jadi kan dia kemang tos ngin mere mang amak pro putrel, tretel akil os tirar atra uyor, tongu maklal lu mule mongil or telakat. Angaru yang muai sel alchis, tokubet sekerium laat, bayang al ais, trula am trulu tau go dan morong mela am. Kalau I say, mulai kemang tos ngil, ubiang arba belul kaya rakar, akar bila akar kri, lemak akar belau, ketakal ardu Ngiraklsong, agit makli akar kri raplu belau, dan mobil saal ngarba, pol kaya rak siratai ejo, yang lak mulai ken ngabar. Kalau I say, lemak akar belau, ketakal ardu Ngiraklsong, amle turula Palau Tradition Nominating Committee, the Board of Governors of Pacific Judicial Council, of Palau Judicial Strengthening Initiative. Kalau I say, meyak agak belau tangkal ardunya Ngiraklsong. Amne kergi kemisi adrogni ran la macacel serakau sedura tai yo. Kemudian apa rete la klaumra. Yang mitut kemudian Party Justice ka FSA yang beratai menia Justice ardu belau. Kalau I say, meyak agak belau tangkal ardunya Ngiraklsong. Ajak di lural istirahat pura kadri. Jadi kalau ngarni amul terwilom ke mau lekerwi mora abra wiol di luar tarap tungi. Kalau tie atau mulai nasi cei ma abra wiol rakor Nelson sing atmap hingga di luar ngutmuk raka akor. Irgam nek musab longri ra tokora wiol madi longri ra pila wiol. Ebet kelcis lakai uding lesra bol sera ners. Kasi cei dia asal omai sasek at ilogo del molding runners rasis runners to si segir il wal korak to mel moranes eme to tikial to lo se el alchis opera court sel conference room rebe bulak record engarngi ang arsel Marwabel Achievement Award ng kal chiari riling Ngiraklsong special award at Chief Justice Mamuru Nakamura Achievement Award edite wal adam lang usay Justice Rudim Ngartiang, Mamle Judge Peloy, Mamle Clerk Sherwin Yamauchi, Mamle Maintenance Nelson Ngiraklsong. Adam legergi klamaklol tokoy, legergi kra emulsion, legergi ngarbabel ak, oy legergi kranaryo. Saya sing Ngiraklsong. Balaway say, yamek la belau, tangk la Ngiraklsong. Itu rakamang terus ngel, engilo Aurthur lakor terdoy direct sa internet. Ito ketiga tilbila ranul morulin momre, emperais, ilmorar abrablu, ilmes at pura katat. Kalau I say, yamek la belau, tatnak la Ngiraklsong, amle bagtaw to ngel betul matar, ngulto da ptoplom to delala, almongos miro abul belau, talbotul moilya. Om kabar romrole lakar kri elmom sisi dilas aptang jakal misi jakati bel kirkit ka tokol ngaramral to kuwet so ngel sa albonglel sabi ka tren tingin akapol betul mata malaway say yamek al other belau nakal Ngiraklsong kalgegel ak ngayabo el plungal atong mo Aurthur mo agrala mo Aurthur Ngiraklsong Esquire mo gingal lakar kri mo tangak Aurthur Ngiraklsong tulang arbab ni berarti tak bela. Kalau I say, meyak la belau tangak Aurthur Ngiraklsong tulang arbab ni berarti rabul belau. Aptang tang arbab ni berarti rabul belau. Mayak tangal belau, tokubet tangal belau. Ketika kerel belu, itu on tongak tak belaktai. Kalau I say, ya tangak Aurthur Ngiraklsong Amral menekluk lengat tengah teplodol aswar ringi lalu benggil. Di elang, di el albal mukdong na ruba, di busera dronglet. Di busera dronglet, patang lom obra rakto. Malaway say, ya omrulela magkosarung tangka Chief Justice Aurthur Ngiraklsong. Aura belang lirar tarabangil, arsalil, albelira atrala arbelau, maikpil belau. Obra lang lel belau, katulong lang len di busay, dia kamurot miarung belau, muak nila lamyak atau belau. Ngiraklsong Ngirakelsong. Belang ebol motor bo ma senator ang tui matalol birak lulau. Ma House of Delegates ang tui matalol birak lulau. A odong si to ko bagi am krusarmu edi busira drong let. Tatang Ngiraklsong tulang apa berbira pru belau. Kadat mang ap to pingil lau rel lep tulang ri emol mat kaigel bel saat bersel morar atu belau. Emo obangkela arang lela pru belau. Ikat alim lengar obrau de tereng yang ako dong rubak hindi mo sira pa. Luto mamotrok mo sa outfit telul mo da arang lelo tuy matalol dia kulaw amo modal sa marami special lom era trungal tama close armu hindi mo sira drong let lat nakla ko Ngiraklsong tulang arba pul ko di kapul belaw. Edre kan modal sa His Excellency President Surang Wilkes Jr. tangak ODI Ngirakelsong Chief Justice sa Palau Supreme Court, Wallerupul Belau, Palau Governors Association, Organization of State Speakers, Tangka Pons Paules, President ra Aurthur matalol birak lulau, Tangka Sabino Astasio, Speaker ra House of Delegates, Aurthur matalol birak lulau. Mansila.
Masaula Senator Tabalwal, Blossom El Oiwi, Oidel Sel Resolution, El Motocor Belau. Wal ngitra speaker mo sa el present at resolution. Katamo malmol mra program rigid. Kodo ay silwasya Chief Justice marogul chances mar staff record mar adra kanakri kablu belaw ang artial kamaldil buhay. Katamo tira Chief Justice all the eyes Ngirakelsong buhay maskita al ablara kanakri.
Senate President Paulus, Robert, Tilwang, Paulus, Grace, and the entire family of the Chief Justice here this morning. On behalf of all the justices, justice, and the entire hopefully you are deepest condolences in the loss of Aurthur Ngiraklsong. I know the loss is felt most by you, his family, but it is also felt and shared by his other family, the Palau judiciary. The Palau judiciary includes not only the current people who are working at the judiciary, but those who work under the Chief Justice who have left the judiciary, but they're all here with us this morning. We joined the family this morning to mourn with the family for the loss of Aurthur. I will also add that the loss is also felt and shared by Ngiraklsong judicial colleagues abroad. That is the reason why you see some of them here today. There is Justice Marman from Law, Justice Judge Aurthur Barcelos also from Law, Chief Justice, Acting Chief Justice from the FSM, Carlos, Chief Justice Castro from CNY, and Chief Justice Cadra from the Republic of the Marshall Islands. The crowd gathered here this morning at this state funeral. This is a testament to CJ Ngiraklsong's many achievements, long public service, and contributions to the development of the Palau judiciary, as well as the development of the Palau law, as shaped and interpreted by the Palau Supreme Court, in which CJ Ngiraklsong stood out as one of its pillars. I was not fortunate like Justice Salim, Justice Martini, and Justice Mudim, who were with CJ Ngiraklsong for many, many years. When I got on the bench in 2017, about 2 years later, he retired. The times that I knew CJ were the times that I was practicing. Those times were crazy. We have said many words about Chief Justice Ngiraklsong's character. We have said many things about his achievement. But I want to share with you, I want to put those words into action. Because CJ put those words into action. So I will tell you that if you appeared before CJ and you were not prepared, be ready to have some words that even justice in the States would not tell you. So I share a story that my friend Yuki Ngiraget told me when I first came to Palau in 1991. He said there was a case that then Francisco Armaluk was defending as a public defender. And Armaluk had filed a motion. This was a motion to quash. I know Justice Barcinas and the judges know what a motion to quash is. Unfortunately, Armaluk, when he filed the motion and he spoke about it in court, he said, "Judge, I filed my motion to squash." And each time he got up, he was always talking about squash. Until si Cisco, squash sa kalabasang. So that was CJ Ngiraklsong. If you're in court as an attorney, you better be ready. Be prepared. And what's a good thing about that is that a lawyer who goes before him who is not prepared is not serving his client. The money that your client spends on you and you are not prepared, you are doing a disservice to you. And so one of the lessons that he taught, and that I take it to heart when I was practicing, you should always be prepared. Talking about being prepared, this was a murder case that we had. And the attorney was a Palauan on the other side, a young guy that just started. I was defending. And we were talking about the autopsy. I know Senator and Dr. Cuarte knows about this, being a doctor. And so when you perform an autopsy, you perform an autopsy on a person who's dead. He's dead. The question that came was that, doctor, when you performed the autopsy, was the deceased dead or alive? You would guess what CCA said. Ka, mal ka blue, dim na blue la humor ka. That was Sinjay that I knew when I was practicing before him. Sinjay that I know briefly when he was the judge, writing his opinion. We have heard about the concurring opinion, but there are two opinions that I read where he authored, he wrote it. When you go up an appeal, there are three judges. They all get together, and then they write the opinion. When you see an appellate opinion that says per curiam, that means all three sat down and contributed. If you see a particular name in there, that particular judge wrote the opinion. So these are the two cases where CJ Ngiraklsong wrote these opinions. And to me, these two opinions highlight his commitment to the Palau Constitution and to the rule of law. The first one was in 1989. Former President Janton Toribio knows this, as well as Senate President Baules, because this is a case from IRI, Toriong versus IRI state government. In that case, the IRI adopted its first constitution. They challenged that constitution. It went up on appeal. Ngiraklsong struck it down. And they had to redo their constitution again. And this is the reason why he struck it down. He said, one of the basic principles of a democratic government is the right of the people to elect and select their public officials. They did not have that in their constitution. Yes, we have our traditional leaders, but this is the representative government. This is a democratic government. And in such a government, we have the right to select our leaders. To me, that is one of the pillars that, how would I say, among souls, it's one of the souls of a house. Because if you're not committed to that, basic principle of a democratic government, we might as well put that away and then go back to our traditional system. So that's one. Number two, this is a case that I know former President Ngiraklsong Madrang Bukod, who is sitting over there, knows very well. And this is the case where the Senate, and this is 1999 decision, where now CJ Ngiraklsong is the Chief Justice. This is Senate versus President Kunio Nakamura, Vice President Ngiraklsong, Minister of Finance Elbo Sadang, and the budget officer, I believe it was Tony Miguel. In that case, the administrator of the executive branch spent $644,156 beyond what OEK had appropriated. And Ngiraklsong found them liable. You cannot be spending money that has not been appropriated by the OEK. To be able to say that against the president of the Palau, the entire executive branch, that shows his commitment to the Constitution and to the rule of law. Those two decisions are with us today. And I know as long as we hold dear our Constitution, they will last forever. Senate President, I'm looking at the time. I'm concerned about the family funeral, but I would like to take some time and just read some of the messages that CJ close friends who could not make it today wrote directly to me, and I had promised them that I would read this to the state funeral. So bear with me as I read some of these messages. This is from Judge Margaret McEwen. This is a judge of the United States Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit. For those of you who do not know about the Ninth Circuit is one of those courts in the United States. After the Ninth Circuit, if you appeal, you go directly to the Supreme Court. So the judges who are writing to the Chief Justice are like they're up there. Judge McEwen writes, I knew CJ Ngiraklsong or CJ, as everyone told for more than 2 decades as a friend and a member of the Pacific Judicial Council in the non-circuit Pacific Islands State. His transformation of the Palau judiciary. He was instrumental in emphasizing both judicial and lawyer ethics, organizing creative trainings, and having Palau serve as a model in the Pacific Islands. On my many trips to Palau, he was from his warm smile to his trademark chuckle, his steady thoughts, and his pride in Palau's history and in children's lives. I will miss him as part of the Pacific Islands. From Judge Consuelo Marshall. Judge Marshall is one of the federal history for judges. I have wonderful memories of the time spent with Chief Justice Ngiraklsong and judicial preferences, which were sometimes held in black. I was always impressed with his support for continuing education for the members of the judiciary, the bar, and the legislation. I have in my chambers in Los Angeles a book called 40 Years, which he presented to me on one of my visits. Judge Clifford Wallace is also a session announcer. He's now a senior judge. I think he's quite old now. Is that right? Justice Marvel? It's a little bit difficult because he's telling a story. This is Justice Wallace telling a story. He was asking the Chief Justice for advice. This is the senior judge of the Ninth Circuit asking our CJ for advice. When I read this, I was so proud that this is happening. And the advice that he was seeking was that it was one of the judicial conferences. And a justice from the Republic of China wanted to attend the conference. The conference was in Samoa. The Republic of China had built the port in Samoa. Justice Wallace was struggling whether I could. So he wrote a letter to securities. What am I going to do? This is what CJ said. His advice was, he said, as you know, Justice Wallace, Samoa's judiciary building was built by the People's Republic of China. Instead, diplomatic relations. I doubt very much that the Chief Justice of Samoa would be able to invite the Chief Justice of the Republic of China to attend the conference. Sorry for this negative response, but it is what I believe to be the case. Justice Wallace, in his letter to me, said, I followed that advice and I avoided a bomb. Justice Tony Cortez writes, for those of you who know Cortez, he used to be the lawyer for Toro State. I began practicing in Palau in 1993 when litigation regarding the referenda to alter the Constitution were not yet settled. I remember Chief Justice Ngiraklsong is unwaveringly committed to the Constitution, the court, and Palau as a whole. I remember the man Aurthur Ngiraklsong is a good-hearted human being, willing to listen to the views of the attorneys who practice before him. In court or in an airport lounge, regardless of whether their views fit with his views. As I look back on the memories of Chief Justice Ngiraklsong, I know the Republic lucky to have had him at the head of its judiciary during its formative years. Justice Foley, who is a part-time judge for the Appellate Division, writes, I regret I cannot be with you today to honor my dear friend and colleague, Chief Justice Aurthur Ngiraklsong. I met Aurthur in 1975 when we were both young attorneys working in the legal office of the Congress of my nation. We worked together for years assisting the districts of the Trust Territory become self-governing states and nations. Aurthur returned to Palau to become a Supreme Court Justice, and finally Chief Justice, and I returned to Hawaii to practice law and became an appellate judge. I have never met a finer man or jurist. Palau, Micronesia, and all who have known and worked with Chief Justice Ngiraklsong are forever enriched and grateful. Looking at the time, Senator Paulus and I'll try to Let me read, there's several, but let me read one from the Marshall Islands from Justice Cadra to the State Justice. On behalf of the Republic of the Marshall Islands Judiciary and on my own behalf, I wish to express our deepest condolences to the Republic of Palau and the family of former Chief Justice Aurthur Ngiraklsong upon his passing. Chief Justice Ngirakelsong will be remembered as a great legal mind, enthusiastically committed to the rule of law. Throughout his tenure as Chief Justice, he gained the reputation of running a tight, no-nonsense court system. A system Palau can take pride in, a system which serve as an example for others in the future. He will be remembered for making lasting contributions to the administration of justice, not only in Palau, but also in the Republic of the Marshall Islands, where he served as a pro tem on several cases over the years. On a more personal note, Justice Cadra used to be a senior judge for the land court here in Palau. I had the opportunity to work directly with Chief Justice Ngiraklsong for 4 years. I learned much from his example. I count myself fortunate to have worked with him in the Palau court system. Finally, he was a friend to all of us in the RMI. His quick wit and sense of humor will be greatly missed. I end with a message from Chief Judge Francis Taidingo Kekut from the United States District Court in Guam. This is what Chief Judge Kekut wrote. For many years, I was the only female chief judge in our Pacific Judicial Council of 13 chief justices presiding justices. Aurthur was very supportive of me in pushing me to be one of the officers. He was always sensitive to the idea of promoting diversity, in that I was a woman, a Ponapian, and a Chamorro, sister of 8 in our Pacific Island family. I will always cherish and remember this. So that's Chief Judge Gatewood from Guam that considers CJ Ngiraklsong as a sister, not simply a colleague. On that note, I end with this. I have heard many stories, too many to tell, but I will just share that there is one justice from Guam, and that is Judge Barcinas. And from what I hear about Judge Barcinas, when he comes from Guam, he goes into the Chief Justice chambers unannounced. Nobody does that except him. I do not even do that, and I share that with you because that just shows the closeness that CJ had with his colleagues outside of Palau. And with that, Justice Personal, he would not do me good, and I will not be happy if I did not end my remarks speaking in Palawan for my brothers and sisters already this morning. So with the Island Judge's permission, I want to share a few things in Palawan before I Senate President Paulus, with your permission, alati ko dira kala. Udel kalal bayagi da bebira. Toko serak meraka dagri. Ito ay serang tirgala meraka dagri. Jalga dagri la again considering kung mama family ng karwa. Tirgala meraka dagri la kulasin. Yang awan family ngak talman. Meng Aigel nga rerel ma akoram ringal toko ito drangare toko ra other true not like tirgal nga kara kara ila Amay kag tukoy, mungkak talman, kanga talman, hindi umila nung at tukas. Nagyagi dapat pinalo ay sa nga tukoy. Serang ko tamo rang lungo. Endia ka ang hotel pasyol sa pitriga nga nakakot mo mur hindi talo kami. Okay? Itrigal atraka kanila dia kang diri. Tigel na raw ron ang karuba kakpam na raw ron atin mo na raw ron. Kami ati kami ngarang limi ati tan level provider ngi selvan o takatin oryo ron mo. Hindi ta mag-isra ay maklong ang mga small tila to may sel time. Tawai seranga ka imora kuy karang ron mo na si. Tara swela ba? Enggal imora martial Ken magay engga umakal rang karuba. Ngarang din ang karuba. Magtamol par gam aswel be. Tirgal at raport tadi kaya kalil paras. Mlamo girin mor ogmi mom ara kalil paras. Mat magay ang mas tiyan nilang Ngiraklsong el mom ara paras. Em aswel ben karuba kam lor yakrebla alamen tipu samlin. Ntang ilu amlik enge adumya ke loba paras. Kau kamlan. Ako mengaklo. Engaram jakam limiw. Jangan melimam. Dimle segi del sin salu ay sana. Dimle segi del sins. Porta kata yang wal mera orior mura rose malulu mo arara ke keren lan merang. Sige da tetelen ke ba. Sige da imo. Mura anowe makata talo orior sing genowe alak alwid anowe sadang. At mula si kamisel bolsuel bemblon mo dia kakaliw. Mong marara imol baksel kan sumel bepet ngela kan sumel kay lakla mengel rupa mong mal araw mengel at mula si selbom song ren e ko mel kau nowe amel ma akalan mo. Tarak labsay yaguk mlo driver ngi anil. Anil amlo driver ngi emerko elomes ranaweng maral mora mengel ang karuba kay mela kan sumel. Mangguk mol ngua a corn beef. Ngaru bakal mera suble polo sigar a corn beef, hindi ka corn beef. Unawe, ngilu a corn beef, hindi ang timlak mo. Untang ngilu ani. Manir olta karingi ramlaera ang rul mutan ber orior. Mula senil, ngilu a corn beef. Oy. Adi lurkak po molara corn beef. Mol muk. Temel mesto para Aurthur orior. Chibra Marshall, ang Johnny Soka mo, holding ringi. Mang maldi mingilo asben ngiruba kakmura at Chibra Marshall mula si Ngal Adam Amar Or. Del momento será seguir el programa aquí. Sel KC es el rector. Ngaringi sel korak telgib el mesad ngaruba. Se lulu ringi presiding justice Kathleen Salida Trial Division. And so agalungu o sengit about the sweat and more said lubong and sentence. Mo as much as he tried to hide it, he had a soft spot in his heart for his judiciary family. It is that knowledge that we, his judiciary family, will miss him so dearly. Udale CJ. May your soul find rest. And wherever you will be in our hearts.
Kadamal mereka sulela Chief Justice Oldiais Ngiraklsong Raigel al walungil al mergid al tutaw. Kada malmol mera program mergid makmontir tengakal Kathleen and Sally presiding justice muy wabepir ra urungu la resolution naraikal tonari rigid el blue ra Micronesia en moderal mo sub edel mo present.
One of three resolutions. Before the 2022 Judicial Council of Guam, resolution number JC 22-024, relative to memorializing the passing of Chief Justice Aurthur. Whereas the Judicial Council recognizes with great sadness the passing of Aurthur, who retired as Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the Republic of Palau in June of 2020. And whereas born on February 28, 1941 in Palau, Palau, in what was then known as the Trust Territory of the Pacific Islands, Aurthur Ngiraklsong's education and legal career spanned decades across several Pacific Island jurisdictions, including Hawaii, where he attended college, the Federated States of Micronesia, and right here in Guam, where he served for several years as Assistant Attorney General in the Office of Attorney General of Guam. And whereas Chief Justice Aurthur Ngiraklsong was a member of the bar in Palau, the Northern Mariana Islands, Pennsylvania, and the Marshall Islands. He was also admitted to practice before the Supreme Court of the United States of America and the Federal Court. Whereas, after the graduation of whereas as a member of the Executive Board of the Pacific Judicial Council, AEJC, for over 25 years, he directly impacted the shape of judicial education, which has brought training and education to judiciaries across the PJC member jurisdictions. And whereas known affectionately to many of us as CJR, Chief Justice Ngiraklsong was quick-witted with a wonderful sense of humor, yet he was humble. He fully appreciated the duty and responsibility of his position. He left a lasting impression on so many of those with whom he interacted. And whereas during his entire legal career, but especially during his time on the bench, Chief Justice Ngiraklsong was a visionary force, not just within his jurisdiction of Palau, but throughout Micronesia, the Marianas, and Oceania. His passion for the law, for improving the workings of justice, went far beyond the shores of the island. Indeed, the justice systems of our entire region benefited from his presence. He regarded his position as a unique opportunity to collaborate with chief justices throughout the Marianas and Oceania, and judges of the Ninth Circuit, to improve the timely delivery of justice. Truly, he was a transcendent figure in the legal communities of the Pacific. And whereas the justices and judges of Guam were proud to call him friend, and are ever grateful for his leadership in preserving the rule of law. Now therefore be it resolved that the Judicial Council, together with the entire judiciary of Guam, expresses our sincere condolences and gratitude to the family of the late Chief Justice Aurthur for his immeasurable service and contribution as a champion of the rule of law, as a respected jurist, and as a friend. Duly adopted this 30th day of November, 2022 by the Judicial Council of Guam, signed by F. Philip Carbalito, Chief Justice of Guam and Chairman of the Judicial Council of Guam, Justices Robert Torres and Catherine Merriman of the Supreme Court of Guam, Presiding Judge Alberto Lamorena III, and Aurthur Barcinas of the Guam Superior Court. And with that, we will, on behalf of Justice Merriman, a copy will be presented. I know the Chief Justice read brief messages from Francis Tyrinko Gatewood, District Court of Guam's presiding judge. This is a letter, a personal message from her, with the indulgence of the presiding officers of both houses and President Whips, who will be reading this before I read the next resolution. It's dated December 1, 2022. To the family and friends of the late Honorable Aurthur Ngiraklsong and to all his family within the Palau judiciary. On behalf of the Pacific Judicial Council, I wish to express our deepest sympathy for the passing of Chief Justice Aurthur Ngiraklsong. It is with great privilege and honor for all of us to have served with Chief Justice Ngiraklsong, whose public service spanned 44 years and 3 branches of government throughout the Pacific. When one considers it for a moment, the years of service alone are a tribute to a remarkable career and a lifetime of incredibly hard work, often under difficult conditions. It is not just the long years of service, it is the quality of those services that is beyond reproach. Chief Justice Ngiraklsong was a judicial craftsman who loved studying the law, working through legal problems and explaining their solutions. He cared profoundly that every case was resolved correctly and according to law. His opinions established many of the important precedents that remain today. During his tenure in public service, he demonstrated an unwavering devotion to the law, his profession, his solemn duties, and most importantly, to the people throughout the Pacific, particularly to the people of Palau. Having represented the Palau judiciary as an executive member of the Pacific Judicial Council from 1993 until his retirement, and sitting as president of the Pacific Judicial Council from 1997 to 1999, Chief Justice Ngiraklsong strived to uphold the rule of law through an independent judiciary, the core of democracy, and eagerly contributed to our mission to improve the administration of justice and the third branch of government. His contributions not only benefited the Republic of Palau as Chief Justice, but it benefited our entire Pacific Judicial Council and Pacific region. He was a dedicated and brilliant leader in the legal community who never sought honors for doing so. His values, the quality of his work, and his overall work ethic and demeanor commanded dignity and respect for the man and the institution he led and loved. As his judiciary family knows, and as many of us have witnessed, he was a man of tough and strict character that held himself and those around him to high standards. He made a difference in the lives of those who were close to him, both personally and professionally. He spoke mostly about the law, but quietly impacted many of us in our personal lives in quite profound ways. We are grateful for the genuine friendship and wisdom that Chief Justice Ngiraklsong shared with all of us, his brethren and sisters on the bench. He helped all of us who worked with him to produce better decisions. He helped us to be better people, and he helped us to become better jurists. He was rather unique, and we all considered him to be very special. We are all indeed better because of his life and service. He is an example to each of us, and he blessed us with his friendship. We will indeed miss him dearly and extend our sincere condolences and prayers to you all. Sincerely, Francis M. Tidingco Gatewood, Acting President of the Pacific Judicial Council and Chief Judge of the District of Guam. Before the Pacific Judicial Council Resolution Number 22-1, relative to memorializing the passing of the late Honorable Aurthur Ngiraklsong, Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the Republic of Palau. Whereas the late Honorable Ngiraklsong was born on February 28, 1941 in Koror, Palau, Trust Territory of the Pacific Islands, and called to his eternal rest on November 16, 2022. Whereas the Honorable Aurthur Ngiraklsong graduated from the University of Hawaii in 1967 as a John Hay Whitney Fellow with a Master of Arts in Political Science degree. Whereas the Honorable Aurthur Ngiraklsong received his Juris Doctorate from Rutgers University School of Law in 1974. And whereas the Honorable Aurthur Ngiraklsong was a member of the following bar associations: Pennsylvania, the Republic of Palau, the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands, Guam, the Federated States of Micronesia, the Marshall Islands, Trust Territory, the American Bar Association, and was further admitted to practice in the Supreme Court of the United States. And whereas the Honorable Aurthur Ngiraklsong from 1975 to April 1976 served as a staff attorney of the Micronesian Constitutional Convention, where he therein sat as counsel for the Committee on Civil Liberties and researched and drafted the Bill of Rights of the Constitution of the Federated States of Micronesia. And whereas the Honorable Aurthur Ngiraklsong from August of 1976 to January 1979 served as staff attorney of the Congress of Micronesia, the predecessor of the Congress of the Federated States of Micronesia, wherein he researched and drafted committee position papers for presentation to the United States Congress Trusteeship Council and officials of the government of Japan. And whereas the Honorable Aurthur Ngiraklsong, from January 1979 to December 1979, served as Assistant Legislative Counsel of the Congress of the Federated States of Micronesia, wherein he researched and drafted constitutional legislation and served as actively Legislative Counsel of the Congress in the absence of Legislative Counsel. And whereas the Honorable Aurthur Ngiraklsong, from December 1979 to September 1980, served as Legislative Counsel to the Congress of the Federated States of Micronesia, wherein he sat as Chief Legal Counsel, supervised and reviewed the work of several staff attorneys and researchers, and advised the presiding officers on legal matters. And whereas the Honorable Aurthur Ngiraklsong was a visiting scholar at Harvard Law School from September 1980 to May 1981. And whereas the Honorable Aurthur Ngiraklsong from June 1981 to July 1986 served as Assistant Attorney General for the government of Guam, wherein he litigated land cases involving the government of Guam, including legal boundary issues and land condemnation. And wherein he further handled contract and tort-related cases filed against the government of Guam. And whereas the Honorable Aurthur Ngiraklsong was appointed as an Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of the Republic of Palau by President Lazarus E. Salih, where he served that capacity from July 14, 1986 to November 13, 1992. Whereas the Honorable Aurthur Ngiraklsong was appointed Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the Republic of Palau by President Ngiraklsong, where he served in that capacity from November 13, 1992 to June 1, 2020. Whereas the Honorable Aurthur Ngiraklsong has been an active and invaluable executive member of the Pacific Judicial Council, representing the Palau Judiciary since 1993 until his retirement, and further serving as President of the Pacific Judicial Council from 1997 to 1999. And whereas the Honorable Aurthur Ngiraklsong strived to uphold the rule of law together with the Pacific Judicial Council, improve the administration of justice in the region, which includes American Samoa, Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands, Federated States of Micronesia, Guam, and the Republic of Palau. And now therefore be it resolved that the Pacific Judicial Council offers its sincerest condolences and sympathies to the justices and court staff of the Supreme Court of the Republic of Palau. Be it further resolved that the Pacific Judicial Council expresses its sincere condolences and gratitude to the late Honorable Aurthur Ngiraklsong's family for his dedication and friendship. We are all grateful and honored to have worked alongside Chief Justice Ngiraklsong for many years, and we are saddened by his passing. Duly adopted this first day of December 2022. The Honorable Francis Taylor Gatewood, Acting President of the Pacific Judicial Council, and all member jurisdictions. And a copy of this will be presented by Judge Art Barcines, who is the chair of the Pacific Judicial Council's Education Committee. And he will be presenting it to CJ Ngiraklsong. Senate President, we save the best for last. The 22nd Congress of the Federated States of Micronesia, 6th Special Session of 2022, Congressional Resolution Number 22-177. A resolution expressing the sincere condolences and sadness of the 22nd Congress of the Federated States of Micronesia to the family of the former Chief Justice of the Palau Supreme Court, the late Chief Justice Aurthur Ngiraklsong, at his passing on November 16, 2022. Whereas the late Chief Justice Aurthur Ngiraklsong passed away 2.5 years after he resigned from his post as the Chief Justice of the Palau Supreme Court. And whereas the Republic of Palau justices are appointed for life and would only leave their post through death, resignation, or removal for specific causes. Hence, the late Chief Justice Aurthur Ngiraklsong resigned from his position as Chief Justice on June 1st of 2020 after he suffered a stroke. And whereas the late Chief Justice Aurthur Ngiraklsong became the second person appointed Chief Justice of Palau Supreme Court after Chief Justice Mamoru Nakamura passed away in 1992, and in which he served as Chief Justice thereafter for 28 years. And whereas the late Chief Justice Aurthur Ngiraklsong completed a Doctor of Jurisprudence at Rutgers University in the United States of America and graduated in 1974. And whereas the late Chief Justice Aurthur Ngiraklsong served as staff attorney of the Micronesian Constitutional Convention from April 1975 to April 1976. And whereas the late Chief Justice Aurthur Ngiraklsong served as staff attorney for the Congress of Micronesia in the Trust Territory of the Pacific Islands from 1976 to 1979. And whereas the late Chief Justice Aurthur Ngiraklsong served as the Assistant Legislative Counsel for the Congress of the Federated States of Micronesia from August 1979 to September 1979. And whereas the late Chief Justice Aurthur Ngiraklsong served as the Legislative Counsel for the Congress of the Federated States of Micronesia from December 1979 to September 1980. And whereas the late Chief Justice Aurthur Ngiraklsong served as Assistant Attorney General for the Government of Guam for 6 years, starting from June 1981 to July 1986. And whereas the late Chief Justice Aurthur Ngiraklsong served as Associate Justice of the Palau Supreme Court, appointed by President Lazarus E. Salih from July 14, 1986 to November 13, 1992. And whereas the late Chief Justice Aurthur Ngiraklsong served as Chief Justice of the Palau Supreme Court, appointed by President Ngiraklsong from November 13, 1992 to June 1, 2020. And whereas the late Chief Justice Aurthur Ngiraklsong served as a member of the Executive Board for the Pacific Judicial Council for over 20 years and has contributed immensely toward the establishment of a strong education committee dedicated to teaching the rule of law in Guam, the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands, American Samoa, the Republic of Palau, Chuuk, Posray, Pohnpei, and Yap. And whereas the late Chief Justice Aurthur Ngiraklsong was a visionary leader and a trailblazer who stands as the longest presiding Chief Justice in the history of the Republic of Palau, in which he retained competent jurists to oversee the delivery of justice to the people of Palau. And whereas the late Chief Justice Aurthur Ngiraklsong leaves behind a legacy of judicial standards that all present and future judges will emulate. And whereas the late Chief Justice Aurthur Ngiraklsong has a remarkable public service history, from his positions in Guam and the Federated States of Micronesia to his long service to his beloved judiciary of Palau. be it resolved by the 22nd Congress of the Federated States of Micronesia, 6th Special Session of 2022, that Congress hereby expresses its sincere condolences and sadness to the family of the late Chief Justice Aurthur Ngiraklsong at his passing on November 16, 2022. And be it further resolved that certified copies of this resolution will be transmitted to the President of the Federated States of Micronesia, to the President of the Republic of Palau, and to the family of the late Chief Justice Aurthur Ngiraklsong. And this copy of the FSM Congress resolution will be presented by Acting Chief Justice Bulin Carl Worswick of the Federated States of Micronesia. The judiciary of the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands requested no reading of a resolution and no reading of the plaque, but to present the plaque to the family on behalf of Chief Justice Alex Castro and the entire CNMI judiciary.
Thank you, Justice Sally, and thank you to three other justices from our Micronesian island neighbors. Mulmol mara program rigid, in all time, kadamo rongsi eulogy malungsel kalingel ang kal Chief Justice Aurthur Ngiraklsong, volunteer tangakal Johnson Toribong, former President Pablo Palau, walbaskid sa eulogy.
Before I present my eulogy, the late Chief Justice Aurthur Ngiraklsong, let me take care first for the traditional protocols by recognizing the Chief Reply, Speaker, the President and Chief Justice, and all honored guests and members of their families. Let me say that I wrote my eulogy yesterday purely based upon my knowledge and opinion of the late Chief Justice. Purely a personal assessment of who this man was. So I'll stick to the script. It reflects my thoughts last night. Kola Libadul, Maraklay, Talungab, President Surang Lips Jr., Mr. Speaker Sabino Anastasio and delegates, Senate President Jocons Paulus and senators, Chief Justice Olyais Ngiraklsong, and justices and judges, members of the families of the late Chief Justice Aurthur Ngiraklsong, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen. We are here to remember, to honor, and to pay our last respects to our late Chief Justice Aurthur Ngiraklsong of our Supreme Court, which he served with honor and distinction. He was our second Chief Justice since the constitutional government of this country was established in 1981. But he was the longest serving Chief Justice that Palau has ever known. I appeared before Chief Justice Aurthur Ngiraklsong at trial court and on appeal in criminal and civil cases, perhaps 4 more times than any other practicing attorney in the Republic of Palau. Ladies and gentlemen, let me take up this opportunity to address our late Chief Justice while he lies in state before us. Good morning, Your Honor, Chief Justice Aurthur Ngiraklsong. For the record, my name is Johnson Toribiyong, and I appear before you today for the last time, not to make a closing argument or an appellate argument, but to honor you and to bid you farewell. Present today with me are your brother and sister judges from this republic and from the neighboring jurisdictions. We are honored to have them here as our witnesses. And to our visiting judges and justices, I welcome them in your behalf. I first met you as a lawyer when you were retained by the 5th Palau District Legislature to serve temporarily as its legal counsel. I met you when I was a delegate to the Micronesian Constitutional Convention, where you served as one of our attorneys in 1975 on Saipan. I was then a delegate from Palau District to the Micronesian Constitutional Convention, where you served as our legal counsel on fundamental rights and freedom. I met you when you were first appointed by President Salih to serve as Associate Justice of the Supreme Court. I had appeared before you since that time at the trial level and on appeal, including the time when you were Chief Justice. I served with you from 1995 through 2008 in the Judicial Nominating Commission. Yes, I also had happy hours with you at home and abroad. At this point, I'd like to share with you a message from our friend to Chief Justice, from Fred Kluge and Pamela Holly. He's the author of The Edge of Paradise, The America in Micronesia. He wrote, he was our friend for 50 years. He was a man who we admired, who we trusted, who we laughed with, who we will miss and remember. We treasure the memories and the times we shared together. With that, I continue. I served with him from 1995 to 2008 when I was elected president, but I maintained a close relationship with him. Mr. Chief Justice, after due deliberation, I hereby find you to have done an exceptional job as a second Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the Republic of Palau. My decision and judgment are based upon the following undisputed facts. You considered your position not merely as a judicial position, but as a vocation from which to serve, to deliver justice to your people. Your commitment to the rule of law and justice was indeed a lifetime commitment. You defended the supremacy of the Constitution of the Republic of Palau as the law of the land. You defended the independence of the judiciary in Palau with passion. Your decision and actions manifested your uncompromising support for the constitutional guarantee that, quote, everyone shall be equal under the law and shall be entitled to equal protection. You often said, no one is above the law. In your interpretation of the Constitution and the law, in the cases of ambiguity, I recognize your natural inclination to tilt the scale in favor of the interest of the people, the democratic principles upon which our nation is founded. In your interpretation of the Constitution and the laws of the Republic of Palau, you sensed the spirit of the law that lies in what is just and fair for the people. As an advocate for my clients, oftentimes I disagreed with you, but I always respected your decisions and judgments being impartial and constitutional. You made your decision without any deference to the prominence and stature of the parties or their lawyers, but strictly based on the evidence and the law. For example, your decisions in the collapsed Koror-Irai Bridge stands as one of my recollections of your strong stand on the rule of law. I know you despised false witnesses. If you detected deception on the part of any party, I know they will lose the case. You demanded punctuality. Above all, you made sure that the requirements of due process are satisfied before the issuance of any order, decision, or judgment. Finally, I would be remiss if I do not say some of your decisions ruffled the feathers of some from the high cultural, social, and economic circles, but remained the unshakable rock of our justice system. You earned the respect of us lawyers, our clients, and leaders of Palau. You also earned the respect from your brother and sister judges and justices in our neighboring jurisdictions. You maintained independence, impartiality of the judiciary. You raised the dignity of our court's justices and staff. You are a great judge, Chief Justice, and the administrator of our judiciary. In short, you are a great Chief Justice and jurist. You left behind a legacy of a strong foundation for our judicial system. Mr. Chief Justice, when you first returned to Palau for good after a long absence, you told me that when you saw Palau from the air, you thought to yourself, this is God's country. You serve that country well, exceptionally well. Based on your performance, decisions, and administration of the judiciary, our people, the people of Palau, enjoy the blessings of liberty, justice, rule of law, and freedoms. Mr. Chief Justice, let me quote for you a biblical phrase which I believe reflects your commitment to the promotion of justice. Found in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 16, verse 10. I quote, "He that is faithful in that which is least is faithful in much, and he that is unjust in the least is unjust also in much." End of quote. You can leave us, Mr. Chief Justice, with confidence and a smile, knowing that our judiciary is in good hands because of your influence and policies. Thank you, and may God richly bless and reward you according to your good works and His grace. You are a great Palauan. You are our hero. With that, I rest my case. Farewell. Udalay, Tudidet Loboguk, Timehibum, Erbak, Ngiraklsong. Thank you.
Maldusaw la former President Johnson Tribiong of Michael Madungil Building ng Karuba. So la selkot ng arbabal ano government dokument sa blue ang ulsang bayak la atau mo rin was 21 cancel. Ako litra arbet la bolsa il may amount TV Gitrawak kami on TV. Also el witness national color cards. Al mo render sa 21 cancelut. Al mo ano card ba?
So I can catch. Yeah.
South Trigal National Honor Cards, nakatapol ito, Trigal Sablay, tumugot po kaya bandera, representing. Palau South Trigal National Color Cards. Ito para mayroon na po ang program rikito as well. May bukod tira ngiri Romaniano kolom era tulungan ka Chief Justice Aurthur Ngiraklsong na tulungan Ridley.
O kumteera family tulungal kama rebebir ang Ngiraklsong tal ibo buring asaul ako tulong ring asaul ang mga Diyos ni wala baktisi Aurthur klaro ibo ring asaul iya molol appreciation ra tulungal ka family ring Ngiraklsong and mera nga presidente Palau Sir Raul Vips Jr., Presiding Officer Sir Olvi Raul Bulao, Senate President Juan Paules, House Speaker Sabino Anastasio, si Siulo Ngiraklsong appreciation amora Chief Justice Oldiais Ngirakelsong, Tirlo Mesra Marata Judiciary Ngartiang, Vice President Trigir, Widu Sabaw Senior, Marungul Tal Ulpira Lulaw, House of Senate, Marungul Bela Raklay, Mertiang Dagi Say Budul, Tigator siya Sus, Mamul Wiw, Ibuguring Asaw. Tial State Funeral, Girelang Ngiraklsong, Alulia Family, Rulamam Malmo Proud. Imal proud, ringi, imereng asudil giret tial State Funeral. While kingarakling itereng, mal momis na. Tial State Funeral adi regel, rulamam, momal sirak cloud at ngakla, lamod sin merablil Ngiraklsong, for salog yung agi accept ringi, loba humility in our hearts. We're humble for the experience. Marcel, Lodresel, I get proclamation ra a President, Joint Resolution ra Olvira Lulaw, mabanderang ra Republic. Solo ay sa remiw, wasya family marbebiring Ngiraklsong ngartiang ngarabik tibulur belaw acknowledge the tialom rule we receive kagi the proclamation ma resolution rablur belaw mabandera lawa umul humility appreciation maringal umring sa ang Ngiraklsong amle lawyer judge Chief Justice tora karakter ngaringi amil Aurthur judiciary. Already. Mengaringi ilak ke family ni domodong ni lo si judiciary baru justice sa supreme court. Tiang ato ubet sa appreciation ng mga family mo at Chief Justice Oldiais Ngiraklsong. Because the share of sisi loss. Mo ano. Justice Ngiraklsong ang mga sulela Senate mga President, House of Delegates, and yung mga yung mga yan sils rigid. Sige dia Ngiraklsong Saul nga ka wais leader sa Palau kasi tial blay para Ngiraklsong momalmon siyang nging lungu kirelay des pumureng sa video sa social media yang lungu ringil other Palau kirela leader siber Palau kirela helder umiu kirela divine guidance Dios nga lagi lureliu kirela siungela blue Palau paklong ilir other Palau magsal
Palmsaula ngin ete tragel klum nara blay May. So lakat marmara ulabong ra program rigid makulingit na bekal at sa pedal padator. Ebo kung tira Pastor Marcelus Ngiraingas bel beskida benediction.
Gimerang asulem, adamal Dios sel ngarayang ada, ubu bukukuwil Dios. Labang kama maraw ulel tial state funeral, ra CJ, el melmo trawa, el alulubong wala. Agi melmol melolingit, lo se rubak, a present sergaw. Lolmol melobonggel tiyan basang, el melmo traw lubongalel. El continue more madamam, tukubet sigiri our family members, our friends, marukuil adal ngartial belumam, rabelur belau, egim sabak ngar eungelam si el imam. Agim asaw la, el trabok klaro kultoy, el ngarang klem kau rubak Jesus Christus, el ditalo sobel. Amen.
Nagulgit at rutel mong maging let, malgasaw la pastor. Kadamo pe final respect ma tribute del mura apabila CJ. Nagulgit bodo mo ra tirelel ngara front to the tumagi se mo ko bediwek le mori ra family members se metang ok to mor adra olbida lulaw momrek ito more adra legal justice ma adra judiciary ma mora ro with up hindi mal ko ko sa la time na mo ron sigang tiang pakulngit mo ko mo makligil Mr. President listen dito ala Pabliwek mo adrablay mo ko kulngit ra Vice President tablogi ulle la CJ retrieval ko ra mo makligil tangmal gusto ko la time can I ask Justice Sali to follow the end of the line, and then the rest of the justices from a neighboring jurisdiction. Council Helen, able to lay na tinan mo. Hindi mo na kapiliw ako, Brett. سبعين الموضوع الرغوي موضوع النيترا كورت مارشال سنبلتول من عبدالدوق المراب لاي وما المسؤول عن البقلاء هذا شيء يملو لو بقليلا program